November 20th, 2021. I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361 with my umbrella. I was walking on Bell Boulevard in my normal pattern, and in front of 7-Eleven was something I've never seen, or I've never been aware of, or I just don't see a lot of. Maybe I mentioned it once before. Again, it's hard with the way that this life frame is sequenced, so in successions. They're not always, they don't always move in the correct manner. So now I'm on Bell Boulevard, and there's a black Cadillac, maybe like an Escalade type. That's the SUV. But on the back of it, what grabs my eye is there's a metal piece. Looks like a badge of some sort. I don't know, is it a medallion perhaps? I mean, it's made of metallurgy. They use metallurgy or blacksmith, or I think around here they call it ironwork, in order to make this piece. And it looks real official. I have no idea what was driving the vehicle. I didn't stop. And then I just kept walking. And then as I'm walking, and I'm actually limping because on this day, there's such a unconditioned surge of energy coming through my left side. It's not just stopping at the knee, it's going into the terminus is at the hip. And so it's causing this weird, I mean, I call it gait, but a weird walk. As I walk, it's a weird rhythm, weird pattern. But it's just me trying to adjust to the pain threshold that I have at the moment. So as I'm walking home, all of a sudden the livery truck or SUV drives past and off. And again, I didn't see who was driving it. But I don't know what this livery is. They spell it Livery. I said to Lewis, I'm like, what is a livery? He means, you mean Liverpool? I go, no, not what I meant, but what is that? I was like, is that one of your Beatles references? I was like, he's like, yes, this is in England. I'm like, right, okay. And I'm like, so then I'm spelling it out in my head. I'm like, live in the ER. I'm in a gamma field danger zone. That might be somebody helpful. And then I'm like, but I don't know who's in it. So I'm like, well, is it in... Because here, the only time I've ever heard of livery, they say livery, medallion, and cabbies. That's what they say on the news, which is indicative of taxi cab drivers or New York City cabs. But that's a whole nother whatever, and I don't know. I plead the fifth on that one because I really don't know how any of that works. So then I'm like, Lou, so then TEOFRIO 1975 is not supposed to be anywhere near me, and I try to stay in my room and away. And so, but last night he has this new job, and he came home with some stuff, and he gave it to my son. And now I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, now this puts me in a position. I don't like this man, 1975. I have now toilet paper with him, which means nothing to me, but I don't want him touching my son. And I have no money to go to the stupid courts and take my son back. So, whatever on that. And then I'm like, because the courts wrote some paper and gave it to the fucking idiot. So now this idiot comes home with all this baseball paraphernalia and stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, now this poses a liability risk for me, because now he's bringing free shit into the house. I'm like, who gave him the stuff? Was it a gift? Do I now have to report it? Is it stolen merchandise? Like, I mean, how do you know this stuff? How do I protect myself from the morons that do human things out and about in New York City and don't and even know that they're, like, putting me in harm's way? So now my son's all excited, has Lewis hanging them today. I'm on my one heartstring. I'm like thoroughly thrilled because it's baseball memorabilia all over the room. I'm learning, I'm reading, I'm looking at photos. It's like living now in like a glass mausoleum of some sort. And I found out one of the people, it says Mr. October underneath it. I don't know what that's about. I'll have to figure that one out. But so now I've got my black hole and Oort cloud and NASA stuff on my wall. My son now wants to take over my theorem, and he wants to put all baseball everywhere. And I was like, don't touch my stuff. I was like, hang baseball wherever you want, but don't touch my stuff. So now I don't know what to do about this new, like, whatever he brought home. On the one hand, I'm incredibly grateful because I know that it's some of the stuff they say for collectors that their baseball stuff's worth money. I don't know to who. It's not a liquidable asset. Like, it's not something that just all of a sudden, like a whatever, you can get money out of. So it takes extra steps, which I don't know. I mean, I don't have any honorable or reputable people that I'm aware of that do collections, collector stuff, pawn stuff, appraisal stuff. I mean, how do you even find an appraiser that you can trust? I have no idea. I have no networks to even ask. So now it's up on the wall. I'm like, now TEOFRIO just threw me into like a liability pool. I got Livery driving past this morning, and I'm like, how does a woman protect herself from like the idiocy that surrounds her? Like, honestly, like, without disrespecting the morons that have arrived in my whatever. And then I'm also thinking, I'm like, I got severely cut on my abdomen and thrown into a marriage with Jason, which looks innocent on the surface, but it's not. So now that never got investigated that I'm aware of. It's like a cold case that just keeps lingering and never gets resolved, and my life keeps getting worse and worse. And then all of a sudden TEOFRIO shows up, along with a string of fucking morons in between that I never needed to fucking see. So now, like, at what point do I actually get help from something that is not going to scare me and that I need help from? Since now Jason's accumulated a 20-something year career with NYPD and some whatever the hell he does inside of there that I don't know about, that I'm blinded from, but it has city repercussions, and I'm being purposely hurt, and I don't know how to protect myself from him. I don't know how to protect myself from him. I don't know how to protect myself from the city. I don't know how to protect myself from the state. I don't know how to protect myself from TEOFRIO and all his dumbass decisions, or Romer. And I don't know what to do with Lou, because, I mean, like, he's the one that I technically, like, met first. So I'm trying to do, like, the Santa thing with him, but I have him at an arm's distance, because he's not always the best personal representative. So this gets, like, really complicated and difficult. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. And I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.